Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you watching the recording. Just gonna light some sage as I normally do. Hope you all had a fine weekend. Whoop, knocking things down, trying not to set my arm on fire with my sage. It's one of those mornings. Hello, hello. Welcome. Hi, Donna. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Asriel. Just smoking out the place, you know me. I'm gonna cleanse the space before we begin. Hello, hello. Oh, wow. Lots more comments popping up. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Adriana. Hi, Connie. Hi, Amma. Hi, Chantal. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Lori. Lori, you're up early. Hi, Dana. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Joyce. How are all of you? Did you guys have a good weekend? Anything new and interesting going on? I've got the sage going. I'm going to light some Palo Santo too. Once you do the clearing, you got to do the raising. Hello, hello. Nice to see you all. What did you guys do this weekend? Hi, Jessica. Hi, Jen. Lynn says, I can't wait to hear about your fast. Thank you, Lynn. I'm no longer on my fast. I got to 13 days and quit. I was like, nope, I'm done. In fact, I might even have been a few hours short of 13 days, but who's counting? I mean, when you're that close, what's a few hours, right? I broke my fast. Probably the dumbest thing ever. I don't know why I did that because I like to learn things the hard way. I don't know. So I am supposed when you are on a fast for that many days, your body, your digestion goes dormant. And it basically gives your whole body a reset. And that's what I was going for. I really wanted to reset my whole everything. Your gut flora gets reset because you kill off basically everything in your stomach. There's a whole lot of really interesting things that happen to your body, which I won't go into today, but it was a profound change, let me tell you. Um, in fact, I'm probably going to do this once a year from now on, considering how excited and happy I was. I felt so good. I felt better than I have in years until I broke my fast with a pickle. Don't ever do something so dumb, you guys. I don't know what it is, right? I was craving the salt and the vinegar, so I took a swig from the pickles, and I just thought, what's one small pickle gonna do? Like, I got it small. I was thinking, you don't want to overdo it your first time, so I just drank a little pickle juice, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna eat pickle. So I did. And it felt like I swallowed a prickly pear with all the pricklies still on the pear. That's what it felt like. I was like, "Oh, just one little pickle, what's that gonna do?" Oh my God. My guts hurt so bad for about 24 hours or 48 hours, maybe even after that. So, lesson learned, when they tell you to start with broth, you need to start with broth. When they tell you that you need to start with fruit juice, I did start with fruit juice, to be fair. But that pickle really taught me a lesson in listening and making sure that I do things to the letter. Because you never know, one tiny little pickle could end up making your guts feel like I said, like they were on fire for 2 days. So as you guys know, I love to share my dumb mistakes with you guys so you can learn through me and not have to make the same dumb mistakes. So when they tell you how serious it is to only have fluids for the first 3 days, my problem was that I was like, well, I thought my stomach was like really, really small. It's not the stomach. It was the rest of it. My stomach handled it just fine. It was the intestines that did not. So when your food is trying to be broken down and you don't have the enzymes anymore to break those things down, this is why they tell you to start with broth and things like chicken noodle soup and stuff, because your body has to start working again, has to turn itself on again. And yes, that was definitely the most painful pickle I've ever eaten in my entire life. So I'm just telling you, don't make the same mistake I did. If you ever do a fast that's longer than, I would say, 5 to 7 days, make sure that you are, following everything to the letter. Because like I said, I like to learn things the hard way. Now I know why you follow these things to the letter. Always good to know, right? But yes, I'm feeling 100% better now. I lost 22 pounds in 13 days, which is crazy. It's like a third of the weight that I'm trying to lose, which, to be honest, I'm not even trying. I didn't do this for the loss of weight. That was just a very fortunate side effect. I was just, like I said, I was trying to reset my body, trying to reset my gut health, trying to get rid of my candida, trying to get rid of my my sugar addiction and all these other things. And so I'm feeling amazing. Like, I feel great. In fact, I'm probably going to do this. Like I said, I'm probably going to do the 13-day fast once a year. And then do intermittent fasting, in between, like every few months, do at least 3-4 day fast. Because wow, you guys, my body felt so much better afterward. I mean, pre-pickle, before the pickle, my body felt amazing. And how I feel today, now that, because this was late Friday night that I made that bad decision. So yeah, today I'm feeling really, really good. And I made some soup over the weekend, had a lot of soup. And so I highly recommend you guys. I mean, the things that I was purging from my body, I'm not trying to gross you guys out, but I didn't even realize that urine could have sediment in it. That is how much your body starts to flush. And my soul guides were telling me, they're like, yeah, this is something you've needed for over a decade. And I was like, yeah, no shit. I can fucking tell. Like, wow, it was bad. So you don't realize how much your body needs a break. And so if you're ever somebody that like struggles with like kidney stones, struggles with candida, struggles with parasites, things like that, really bad like stomach problems, I highly recommend doing at least some kind of a fast. Even for, I mean, obviously, 13 days is rather extreme, but I was in an extreme need for it. So that is why I got myself to that point. I don't recommend starting it now around the holidays. Maybe this is a good thing for January for you guys, because if I had known, my biggest mistake was starting this too late in the month. If I had started this like maybe November 1st, I wouldn't have been rushing it so much, because Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays. I don't know about you guys, but I cook up a huge storm, and there's no way that I'm going to be like in the middle of a fast while I'm cooking a huge amount of food for other people. So this is part of the reason why I ate the damn pickle. I was trying to rush my stomach getting, acclimated to food faster. And you should not rush anything when it comes to that. So I'm telling you, it's one of the best things you could do. You just need to get some help first before you decide how long you're going to do it for and which version you're going to do, because there's so many different types. What's funny? I've been finding the most people that tend to do this fast, because it's a 40-day fast. Some people, it's called the master cleanse, the ones that I did. And a lot of people do it for the full 40 days. I don't know how they do it. I could not imagine going 40 days without food. So that was definitely one of the most challenging things I've ever done. So just keep that in mind, that everybody's bodies are built differently. And if you feel that you can't go on any further, don't force yourself, which is what I told myself right before I ate the pickle. Like, my body needs this. So yeah, just make sure that you're listening to your body properly. Michelle says, I've been doing keto, and I agree. I won't deprive myself during the holidays. That makes it so much harder. I'll maintain for now. Exactly, Michelle. Yep. Adriana says summer is the best time to do that. I don't know. Summer, I'm so active. I need my energy in summer. Winter, I hibernate, so it's a little bit easier for me. But then again, Adriana is in summer 24. You're in summer all the time anyway. Uh, the Chantal says after 18 hours of fasting, your body goes into autophagy and intercellular repair and healing. Amazing stuff. I feel so much better. I'm telling you. I don't know what kind of repairs were done, but my body feels so much better. And even my love handles are almost gone. I was like, yeah. So that was icing on the cake, let me tell you. Lori says, I did the master cleanse about 15 years ago for 30 days, and the first 2 weeks of sugar withdrawal was brutal. I hear that. I want to do it again, but I have diabetes now, so I have to take precautions. See, everybody should be taking precautions. The only reason I did it for the 13 days is because my higher self literally told me that would be optimal for me. Because I was going to do a fast anyway. I normally do like between 3 and 5 days. 5 days was my ayahuasca fast. That was my limit before. I went on a 5-day fast before doing ayahuasca in Peru. And I drank volcano water for 48 hours before that too. And whoo, let me tell you how that does interesting things to your body that you would not normally expect. Lots of purging happens then. Volcano waters, whoo, it is intense. I did like 49 hours. It was tough. Definitely want to try again. You know, it's really challenging sometimes even to just go 12 to 24 hours. So give yourself, the patience and ask for help too. I did not do this on my own. It was funny, right? I was talking with my guides about this. And the day that my higher self told my guides, yeah, she needs 13 days. And I was like, 13 days? Oh my God. As soon as they said that, I was like, no, 13 days. But then they were like, don't worry, we've got an ancestor that's coming forward for you. And I'm like, an ancestor? And they said, yeah. And they said he's got white hair and he's got very tan skin and he looks very like outdoorsy. They said, we're not exactly sure. He's not a good big talker, but he is a very good faster and he's going to help you with your fasting and helping you with the cravings. I was like, that's amazing. So every time I got a really, really bad craving, I would drink a big, tall thing of water and I would call in my guides. I would be like, I need help. Can you clear the nausea? Can you clear this? Can you clear that? And the next thing you know, my craving would go away or my nausea would go away. But we humans, we don't think to ask these things. We just assume that it's not going to happen. So always ask. Michelle says, what is volcano water? It is water from a volcano. It has intense amount of salt and minerals. It tastes saltier than seawater, and it's rough. It makes you purge out both ends. Just to be straight with you, I mean, might as well just tell you the truth. Yeah, it's rough, because your body rejects it. Your body is like, no. So it comes out of whatever the hole is closest. Yes. But you are purged afterward. Your whole body is clean as a whistle, so to speak. It's an interesting podcast we're having today. You had to start to talk about fasting. So yeah, that was a very successful fast. I feel really amazing. I'm really good about. What kind of water do you drink on a normal basis? I have well water. And I have the Alexa Pure filter. So for those of you who aren't sure what I'm talking about, Alexa Pure is one of the best water filters you can get. And even though I drink well water, I still filter it because I got trust issues. A lot of farms around here. Did you smoke any cannabis during the cleanse? Are you kidding? Of course I did. I can't purge both cannabis and food at the same time from my day. Like, no. Which is really funny because I thought about it. I thought about quitting because I'm like, man, it's going to give me the munchies. No, it doesn't. It hasn't given me the munchies since high school. So I don't have to, it didn't actually make it harder. So yeah, no, of course not. I probably smoked more, to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Yes, I did not give up my favorite thing. But I will be taking a break on that over Thanksgiving. And I'm also not going to be around for the first week of December because I'm going to be visiting a friend a very dear, dear friend of mine for a week. So the first week of December, y'all are on your own. I get to go on a holiday. So I'm very excited about this. And I will be taking a hiatus then. So I'm doing I'm purging. I took one hiatus and then next week I'll take another hiatus. So yeah, because there's no way I'm gonna quit both at the same time. I can't even quit potatoes and weed at the same time because I'm so miserable without potatoes. So yeah. Yes, a friend. I'm going to Grenada, going to the Caribbean. It's gonna be great fun. You probably have a different kind of cannabis. They don't give you the munchies. Well, to be honest, I've been smoking for longer than half the time I've been alive. Because I'm 40 years old and I've been smoking 21 years. So yeah. So yeah, I don't see myself quitting that anytime soon. I make no apologies, you know? But thank you. Is there anybody that's got anything they want to talk about today? Anything that's been going on a bit crazy? I could talk about some of the interesting cases I've had the last few days. I did a lost soul rescue last night, which was very fascinating, very sad. There was a husband that died in the air. He died during a plane explosion. So it wasn't just a crash, like it exploded midair and then crashed. So we did a lost soul rescue to see how he's doing. And he was still in the air, which surprised the hell out of me. I was not expecting that at all. Because if he was crossed over, if he hadn't been crossed over, I assumed that he would be, doing what he would normally do, not realizing that he's deceased. But no, he was in one of those damn loops. Those loops, we don't really know about those. We don't really talk about those very often. I'm pretty sure I've seen them a few times in different TV series and movies and stuff where they have like these loops. But anyway, this guy, he was still in the air, like literally going through the loop of dying over and over and over again. So we ended the loop. And then as soon as we ended the loop, the first thing he was concerned about was family. He was quite upset and obviously didn't want to leave his family, and he had unfinished business. And it was really sad. That was what made it so sad, was him wanting to go back to his family. And we told him, you absolutely can, go back to your family, but you got to cross over first. And when he did, he left a very beautiful message for her, for his missus. But it was still, I get so frustrated when people make it sound like it's so easy to cross over. And maybe for some people, who die peacefully in their sleep, or people who, actually have a deathbed, it might be easier because you're more mentally prepared for it, I guess. But when you die instantaneously like that, like when you're just literally flying through the air and your plane explodes like that, there's a shock wave that really, it just reverberates across multiple timelines, dimensions, and realities. And it causes so much confusion for the spirit. He had no idea he was dead, even though he'd probably experienced his death countless times as the loop was going and playing over and over again. So this just goes to show how important these lost soul rescues are. Because obviously, if you die on your deathbed and you are somebody who is able to transition, knowing it's going to happen, you can call in your loved ones, you can, call in your soul guides and say, hey, can you please help them cross over? And your family is with you and everybody's kind of sending you off with love. It's an entirely different vibe to people that die under tragic circumstances. I mean, obviously all death is tragic, but when you die unknowingly, unprepared, when you die in a state of fear or shock, when you die under the influence of something, in most cases, you don't cross over. And it's really, it's really disturbed me to the point where I'm so focused on helping earthbounds because so many of them, like I said, it's like that movie The Sixth Sense. They're still going to fucking work. I mean, can you imagine? Like you'd think death would normally give you some respite from going to work. Where you're like, God, I hate my life. I don't want to go to work. And then you die and you're like, God, I hate my death. I don't want to go to work. Like it's insane. It makes no sense to me as to why so many spirits get confused and they don't talk about these things. Like I love Dolores so much. You guys know Dolores is like, she's like my grandmother, but she left so much of this out. And I feel like I just it's one of those things where you feel like maybe how do I put this? Like going to a school and being the top of your class and thinking, "Oh, I just learned everything I need to know." And then you go to an Ivy League school, something like, I don't know, MIT, and you're like, "Oh my God, I'm actually at the bottom of the barrel and I don't know shit." It's kind of how I feel. Because now I'm in an entirely different school and I'm learning things like obviously what she was teaching was accurate to some degree, but it was by no means the full story, nor was it anywhere near even it's a lot more complicated than most of us know. And it wasn't until we started doing these cases and talking with earthbounds and helping people to cross over that you realize how messy it really is and how easy it is to get lost. Like I found a guy, I did an earthbound check on this guy, and I found one guy one time was in a maze, like a labyrinth. And he was a maze of his own mindset, I guess. I don't really understand. It reminds me of a little bit of that movie with Jennifer Lopez, The Cell, because like he was trapped in his own mind, so to speak, and in his own reality that he had developed. But at the same time, he had given up on that reality, and we found him curled over in the fetal position in the dead end part of the labyrinth, just curled up like this, just hiding in the corner. And that's how we found the earthbound. I mean, what the hell? I mean, it just goes to show how many layers there are to reality and how not easy it is to pass between all those layers. Chantal says, Laura, I've been thinking about all those people still in the sea that you cleared. How could you look at Thailand and other areas affected by the tsunami? See, this is the thing. This is why we need more mediums. We need more people to help. For those who aren't aware what she's talking about, we cleared 1,700 spirits, earthbounds from one bay. I don't want to say what bay it was, because I've been told I really need to be more careful about what I'm telling people about some of my clearings, at least some of the areas, because if I go and tell everybody publicly the area that I've cleared, unfortunately, the entities are like, well, let's get back in there, shall we? And then it's not cleared as long as it should be. So one of the reasons why I do try and keep some of these things a little bit anonymous. But yeah, we cleared 1,700 earthbounds, and they had died in shipwrecks. They had died in hurricanes. They had died in battles. They had died in slavery bullshit that was going on. I mean, it was crazy how spread out everything. I mean, earthbounds dating back 1,000 years were cleared from that bay. Imagine how much we raised the vibration of that space too. Like, it's amazing what the soul guides can do. Andy told me last week that if we ask our spirit guides to meet us and help us cross, that they will meet us. Yes, if you are an earthbound, this is the complication, is that most of the earthbounds don't know they're deceased. And unfortunately, I find a lot of them in a position where they can't call for help. I found I was doing a clearing on a property the other day, right? And this is pretty spooky. So we cleared the property, and the neighbor next door, this is how good some of the property clearings are. So the soul guides not only checked the property of the client, but they checked some of the neighbor's property a little bit, because I don't know if they don't know where the property line is or what, but they basically just went and checked the whole vicinity around the property too. And they found a shed out back behind their property. So it wasn't even their shed. This was the neighbor's shed. And they found 6 earthbounds chained up inside the shed. 6 earthbounds chained up inside the shed with the level 2, with the demonic entity. So they were being like, literally chained up against their will. And you would think being in astral form, you could just, I don't know, like blink yourself elsewhere. Like you could just teleport yourself somewhere else. But apparently, no. So I don't know. I guess it depends on your circumstances and your situation. We should never put everything in one category and just say, oh, yeah, we can always call for help. We can always do this or always do that, because unfortunately, there's certain circumstances where you can be muzzled, you can be cut off, you can be, it's complicated. I'm pissed that most of my dreams these past couple weeks have been about work. What happened to all my flying dreams and fantastical adventures? That's kind of funny, AJ. Nice to see you, by the way. If you are setting your intention before bed and telling them what you want, you are more likely to manifest that. Okay. So if you say something like, I am not working tonight, I am not going and chasing any beasties in the astral, I'm going to stay in my body and I'm going to get a really good night's rest. If you say that, you're manifesting that for yourself. If you say something like, I call upon my soul guides to take me to the healing place this evening, I would like healing for my, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. You can ask for that as well. You can tell your guides, hey, please take me to the healing place and heal my, I don't know, my ankle or whatever it is, right? But if you don't set any intention, if you just go to bed, right, you're just getting random. It's like spinning a Rolodex and just picking one. Okay, this is what you get, because it's your subconscious that's controlling it, not you. So if you want to have more control over your dreams, you need to start setting the intention to have that control. Michelle says, has anyone watched Leave the World Behind with Julia Roberts? Yes, I've seen it, because I had to see what everybody was talking about. And I thought it was really stupid. Just for the record. More hidden symbolism, more hidden agendas, more fear-based brainwashing. And then they can just point to the movie and be like, see, we told you that was going to happen. Yeah, because you fucking plotted it out. And you have all these plans to manifest. And that's why they love to make movies like that, where they can, nonchalantly admit to what they're doing without actually admitting to what they're doing. Michelle Mondion says, can you talk about what David Icke talks about the Soul Trap and also the Galactic Federation? I heard the Galactic Federation has been infiltrated. Everything's been infiltrated. Everything. Politics is infiltration. That's what it is. It's a pyramid scheme. Everything is. From the bottom to the top. And they're all controlled. I was had a conversation about reptilians the other day, and even they're controlled. Like, nobody... Really, you'd think that they would be sovereign, but no, they're not. In fact, they're controlled too. Everybody's controlled. Every organization, every group has been infiltrated. And in regards to David Icke and the whole soul trap thing, remember I was literally just saying a few minutes ago that you can't paint everything with the same brush. You can't be like, all right, every soul does this, every soul does that, every situation has to do this. It's like there's a broad spectrum of things. So yes, it is true. You can't leave Earth without special circumstances. You need like an exit visa to get out of here. I'm pretty sure that, and this is from watching them do clearings. I've literally seen them cross over spirits to their homeworld, because if they find a deceased extraterrestrial here on Earth, they don't cross them over through our normal reincarnation. They let them go home. They open a portal, they send them back to their homeworld, and then they reincarnate again. So they don't cross over. Most extraterrestrials that are deceased here, like let's say, some ETs died in a UFO crash, right? And they have not crossed over to the light yet. If a soul guide that is able to do this, usually a galactic soul guide, opens a portal, can send them back to their homeworld and then help them cross over from that side. But in most cases, ETs do not want to incarnate here on Earth, and that's because, one, the politics here is crazy. I mean, we're basically slaves on this planet. We're not allowed to leave. There's a whole lot of politics that goes into this. But when it comes to the actual like soul trap, I don't believe that there is an actual trap. Like, I don't believe that there is... let me rephrase this. So when you cross over into the light, if you're crossing over into the correct light, you do go into the higher realms. You go into the higher dimensions where you have the healing place, you have the angelic realms, you have the astral communities where a lot of deceased people tend to reside. You know, it's a very busy place, the high astral. And that is where you tend to go if you're crossing over. Let's say you're on your deathbed, your loved ones come forward, you know, you're dying of old age, everything is all hunky-dory until the minute your body gives up, you know, just can't stay running any longer. Everything wears out eventually. You see the light open up, your loved ones come forward and you cross over, no problem. Then, yeah, you're probably going to the right place. The issues come from when you are a drug addict or an alcoholic or somebody who has drug issues, I should say, because really it depends on your inability to recognize that you're deceased. Because if you're not deceased, then most people end up, I should say, if you're not deceased, sorry, my brain, I'm trying to explain 3 things at once. My brain's not working with me today. Let me start over. All right. So when you are somebody who has died in a tragic circumstance, when you are someone who has been struggling for a lot of your life, when you've been having a very difficult time in life, unfortunately, there's a lot of opportunists who try and take advantage of the situation that you're in, right? And let's just say, you know, in most cases, those situations are drug or alcohol related. And if those are the case, then generally it's very easy for an entity to trick you into what we call the false light. And there is a false light. In fact, it's the weirdest thing, right? Because I've actually gone and found souls that have already crossed over into the false light. And this is the tricky part, right? Because in most cases, what I found with those spirits that have already crossed over into the false light is, one, they have a dark contract. Usually it's a dark contract from a past life too. It's a dark contract they've been carrying their entire lives. And when they have that dark contract, that is what tricks them into thinking that the false light is the real one. And when you enter that false light, it puts you into what? Oh God, you know what's crazy? Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the waiting room in Beetlejuice. And I know how ridiculous that completely sounds, but it is. It's basically like a waiting room. You're in a purgatory waiting room with other souls. You're not even alone there either. And the reason they have you in there is like they want you to reincarnate their way. So they're choosing your body, your plan, your everything next for you, right? Because obviously, if they have a dark contract with you, they have control over your free will. So if they have control over your free will, then you don't end up where you're supposed to go. You end up where they want you to go. So a lot of people want to know, like, how do you tell the difference between the two? Well, the best way you can tell the difference is by, you know, just knowing your guides, knowing your loved ones that come forward. A lot of them, they do try to trick us. But if you are smart about it, I truly believe that you will be able to sense the trickery. And as long as you do not have a dark contract, as long as you are, like I said, as long as you're not making deals in your sleep with entities, you should not be even concerning yourself with this whole false light thing. Because every single person that has entered the false light has a dark contract. I have found this to be true. So, how do you know if your soul is a dark contract? Usually you can tell because your life falls apart. This is not what happens to happy, loving, high vibe people. In most cases, these are very troubled people that end up in these circumstances. And yes, I've heard, you must be listening to Alex Collier, Michelle. And quite frankly, I don't know what happened with Alex Collier. I don't know. I think that some of the Andromedans that Alex were talking to were not actually Andromedans. Because I do believe that he is a true contactee, but I think that some of the information that he has put forward is polar opposite to truth. And I don't know why that is. So I love Alex. Don't get me wrong. I think that, in fact, Alex is part of the reason why I even do this work, because I saw a clip once many years ago, about 2 years ago, talking about the injustice in the astral. And I was like, what is he even talking about? And if it wasn't for Alex talking about it, I would not have been able to figure out this whole spirit release thing. But that being said, Well, like I said before, Susan, how do you know if you have a dark contract? Your life falls apart. Everything goes to shit. Okay? Dark contracts are not a good thing. Okay? Because if everything is going great, I'm telling you, you don't have a dark contract. I almost guarantee you don't. Because in most cases, even if you sell out for whatever purpose, right? Almost immediately they start taking energy from you. They start making your vibration go lower. And how do they do that? Obviously by trying to screw you over. So the best way they can do that is by making your life miserable. So a lot of people will do things like, well, they'll make it a contract with an entity. Let's say they really want a job. There's a particular job that's going to pay 6 figures and they're so excited about it and they really, really want that job. And the next thing you know, they're paying for it in a different way. It happens quite often. You'd be amazed how often it actually happens, where people will make an agreement and say, well, I really want this job. I'll do anything to get this job. And an entity will hear that. And they'll be like, anything? And then they'll come into your dream state. And when you're not even fully conscious, they'll be like, well, let's make a deal. Do you want that job or not? And you'll say, yeah, I want it. And they'll say, all right, you're mine now. And the next thing you know, you got the job and everything's going great. But the next thing you know, that job turns to shit and you are treated like crap by your boss. And it's like one of those be careful what you wish for circumstances where, yeah, you got the thing you wanted, but then it turns around and ends up being something awful. And you're like, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into? Usually that's how the dark contracts end up working out. A lot of people have dark contracts from past lives, though, too. So if your life has been nothing but struggle and nothing but pain and misery, it could be that you've had a dark contract this whole time. We have found that dark contracts will pass on from child to child to child, from parent to child and so forth. So I've told you guys this story a few times. One of my best friends committed suicide in 2007. And I found out that was due to a dark contract. His grandfather made a contract in World War II. And then his father was also stuck with the same contract because of it. It was one of those, I'll do anything to survive this. I'll do anything to get home. And yeah, he killed a lot of people and he kept up his end of the bargain with the contract. But then the son of the grandfather, obviously my best friend's father, he went to Vietnam, not knowing that he had the exact same dark contract because it passes on to your next one. Because people don't even realize, Morgan says, why did his granddad make a dark contract? Because you don't know you're making it. Let's just say that you're praying, right? And you're saying something like, I will do anything to survive this situation. If there's an entity around hearing you, it may be the entity that intercedes. So this is why you really have to be careful with what you're asking for and how you're asking. Because like I said, his way of asking was saying like, I'll do anything to survive this war. And he did survive the war, but he took a lot of lives. And then the son had the same thing. It passed on to him. So when it got to my best friend, who's in my generation, he didn't go off to war. He didn't at 18 and 19, like his father and his father before him. They all went off to war at like age 19, 20. And by the time my friend hit 21, he was so lost in life that he didn't know what to do with himself. And the next thing you know, he's gone. And I contacted one of my soul guides and I asked them to check on him, and he was crossed over. But the problem was that he was not fully crossed over because he was still stuck with this damn contract. So it's the soul guides that have to go and negotiate these contracts, for the record. You can go and say things like, if you were to take a piece of paper, right, and say, any soul contracts that I have made that do not serve me to my highest good, I break at this time. So you can literally write it out on a piece of paper and say, any contracts that I have at this time that are no longer serving me to my highest good. And you can even list them out. You could say ancestral contracts. You could say dark contracts. You can say familial, generational stuff. You can say whatever you want. Write down and then rip the paper. Rip it up. Rip it into little shreds. Throw it in a fire and just say, nope, I am burning all of this. I'm clearing all of this. Set the intention And you never know, maybe it'll work because we can rip up soul contracts that no longer serve us. It's the ironic thing is that most of us don't even know we have the soul contract. So how do you disavow something that you don't even know is there? So this is why I say one of the best things you can do is try it yourself. Self-empowerment is the most important thing here, you guys. We don't always need the soul guides to be able to do things like this for us. Sometimes we do, but not always. So Morgan wants to know why these things follow familial lines. It's just how it works. Part of your package that you get whenever you take a new body. It's like you get the perks package, you get the pros and the cons with every body that you take, right? So, and a lot of those pros and cons are related to genetics. They're related to familial. I mean, it reminds me of, you guys have seen that Social Experiment, right? Where the guy draws the line and everybody starts on the line and he's like, okay, if you had a father that was around the entire childhood, takes 2 steps forward. You know, if you had a parent that never had to struggle and put a meal on the table, take 2 steps forward. One of those things, you know? It's like we humans, you had to choose a whole lot of complicated stuff when you took that body of yours. Because you didn't just choose all the good, lovely, wonderful things about yourself. You also had to weigh the pros and cons of the family that you were choosing to be born into. And a lot of times those families are very complicated. You have a lot of struggle that can occur. And it's not even usually karmic stuff too. A lot of times it can just be a vibrational difference, especially for you star seeds. If you star seeds out here are feeling like the black sheep of your family, there's probably a reason for it. Because every once in a while, a star seed says, all right, well, I guess I'm going to have to go and move in with the Muggle family. It's all I got. And then they incarnate with the Muggles and then they wonder why they're the black sheep and nobody can understand them. And they look at them like they're nuts. It's like, well, you know, you chose a more complicated family. And then you get starseeds where they're born into a starseed family. Many of you are that starseed family for your children. You know, one of my very dearest friends, she got to go and hear about why she came here as a starseed the other day. And they told her, well, you are a portal for starseeds. You're not just a starseed, but you're a portal for starseeds. So you are actually, you know, like able to allow more starseeds to come through you. So many of us, you know, we are born into these families because there's no real better option. And speaking from somebody like I have 3 siblings that I don't speak to. I have not spoken to my 3 siblings since my father died in 2012. And at first I took it very, very personally. I took it really hurt. In fact, I even wrote them letters going like, you don't want to know me anymore? Like, what gives? I don't understand because everything was great. When we were last time I saw them, we had a great Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. And then the next thing you know, they just completely, as soon as my dad died, they were like, bye, don't ever want to see you again. See you. Peace. And at first I took it really personally. And I really wanted to fix it. And it wasn't until I spoke with my dad, who had already, I mean, I literally had to speak with him in spirit about this. And I was like, what is their problem? And he goes, you don't have contracts with them. You were not meant to have a relationship with them past a certain point. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. So we take things to heart a lot, not realizing that, you know, it's our expectations that are leading us to the real disappointment. Because in many of us, we only have a certain role that we're supposed to carry out. And if we've already fulfilled that role, then there's nothing else that we need to fulfill. In fact, if you stuck in a certain role for longer than you needed to, you may be denying other roles that you're supposed to be doing. So it's a very tricky situation down here because so many of us are in complicated relationships. Not just, I mean, romantic ones, but familial relationships are very difficult right now because so many of us are feeling that vibrational difference. And I try so hard to, you know, keep in touch and try to fix things, all for naught. And then I ended up realizing that it was how things are meant to be. So sometimes these soul contracts that we have, especially these difficult I mean, highly controversial. Some of these, like when I'm clearing, because every time I do a clearing, right, I check for dark contracts is one thing, but I also check for negative soul contracts. So a soul contract that you may have that is no longer serving you to your highest good and should have been cleared out like ages ago. But then we also check for ancestral karmic contracts. So ancestral karmic contract is actually it's a contract that you're born with. It is something that you are it is one of the cons usually that you have to put up with when you choosing a certain family for whatever reason. So it is, a complicated thing for a lot of spirits because they're trying to understand why they feel the way they do in their family dynamics. And if you could actually speak with your soul guides and look at it from an outside perspective, you would understand that everything is how it's supposed to be. So even though obviously it is extremely frustrating to find out that people have dark contracts passed down from loved ones, and it could be anyone. I mean, I cleared a dark contract that was done by a great uncle. And one of my favorite things to do when we clear these dark contracts is to clear it for the whole family line. So just for the record, whenever I find something that is a complicated dark contract, I clear it for everybody in your family, not just you. I ask them to send healing down the timeline and to clear it completely from the timeline. So it's not like we're just going and ripping up the contract when we're doing it. Because the soul guides take it more serious than that. They they practically disintegrate. I'm pretty sure they use the word disintegrate is what they prefer to use. They say they don't tear up contracts, they don't burn contracts, they disintegrate contracts. They actually go down the timeline to the moment when you have made the agreement in the contract and they void the contract then. So yeah. My hubby found out about his ancestral contract, a form of curse. The thing is, right? I wouldn't even call it a curse because, funnily enough, curses are entirely separate from this. I should say, we clear curses from people too. And when I ask, are there any curses? They'll say, yes, there's a curse. And yes, a curse can go along with a dark contract. But in most cases, the ancestral karmic it's all just karma. It's not even a curse. Curses and karma are two very, very, very different things. I mean, curses can be as innocuous as sending bad intentions for somebody. Because a curse can be anything as light as, like, how you say, I'm sending you love and light? Well, you can send the opposite. You send somebody energy, healing and love through Reiki, for example. You can, power up your hands and send some good juju somebody's way. You can actually sit here and think negative thoughts about somebody and like, you know what? I hated that stupid hat she was wearing today. She looked so dumb in that hat. Just saying something like that was just totally random thought, right? Sending that out to that person, thinking that is a psychic attack. And if you were to keep building on that, it would actually end up developing to almost like curse-like energy. So this is why, whenever somebody's doing a lot of shit talking behind your back, you can almost feel it. You can tell that somebody's doing it. You can sense it. That's why, because that intention, that energy is actually hitting you. So a true empath knows when somebody is doing something behind their back in many cases, unless they're in denial about it, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, you can tell when somebody's planning on doing you wrong just through their thought and intentions. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to curse things. One person I cleared had cursed their own phone. And I laughed at the soul guide. I was like, what do you mean he cursed his phone? And the soul guide was, well, he's always calling it a piece of shit. It's his favorite name for his phone. He's like, my piece of shit phone, my piece of shit phone. He's always talking about it. Well, he cursed his piece of shit phone. You don't realize just by talking smack to a piece of electronic that you can fucking curse it, but you can. So it's very important to know, what kind of intentions you're setting out whenever you think about things, whenever you talk about things. You'd be surprised how easily those things can come back to you too. If you're setting out bad intentions, it can easily bounce right back to you. So yeah, as Chantal says, I've changed my mirror layer of protection from the return to sender to transmute with love. Exactly. When I say send it back to source, if you read in your reports that there's been a curse and we sent it back to source, I don't mean like we sent it back to the person who cursed you. that is my word. I don't like calling God source. Sorry, I don't like calling source God. I don't. The word God just it makes my skin crawl sometimes. So I prefer prime creator, source, the universe. I will use anything but God in my explanation. The source is generally what I choose. So yes, we send it to source. You can send it to source, and source will transmute it into love as well. Or you can send it to Gaia. You can send it to Pachamama, Gaia. She will take it and transmute it as well. So if somebody is sending you something, let's just say there's somebody at work that you know is being mean behind your back and probably just plotting some shit. Take that energy and say, okay, I channel that energy back to Gaia. Let Gaia take that energy and transmute it to love. Or you can just say, I lift that energy and I send it to source and I let source transmute that energy into love. Anytime there is any sort of negative intention, even if it's from yourself, like I said, you're sitting there thinking about how dumb somebody's hat looks. Take that energy. When you catch yourself doing it and you're like, you know what? You're right. That wasn't a very positive thing for me to think. I'm going to take that thought. I usually do it like literally just taking that thought right out of your head and just sending it to source. I don't want this. No, get it out of here. Those are not the thoughts I want in here. Get them out. And I've actually noticed it helps. It was actually thanks to the Harry Potter movie when they're actually pulling thoughts out of your head. And I'm like, can you actually do that? So I started doing it and it actually does work. You'd be surprised how easily you can take thoughts out of your own head and just get rid of them. So we have a few minutes. Is there any other final questions during my morning ramble? Hi, Jen. Yes, you did miss most of my ramble today, but that's okay. I'm going to do another one on a star in a minute. Summer says, I've always felt so different from my family, especially my mom and dad. I have a session with Aaron in December. I'm ready to learn and heal. How exciting. Wonderful, Summer. That's really cool. See, it really does help when you start learning your soul lineage, so to speak. Any other questions that you guys want to talk about today? Have you guys been keeping up with your psychic protection over the weekend? Have you guys been keeping up with your visualizations and your self-clearings? In fact, we can start doing this now. Let's practice this now. We've got a few minutes until I switch over to Astara. So let's just do a little meditation today, and then I'll pull a card really quick before we end. All right? So this is self-reliance I was talking about. Very, very important. Every single morning when you wake up, this is a great thing you can do while you're brushing your teeth. You can do this while you're drinking your coffee. One of the best things you can do is to, just go take your coffee outside. I realize if you're up north, like where I am, it's really cold outside and not so easy to walk around outside, but it only takes a few moments. Where you go outside barefoot and you walk around and you visualize your astral body coming into sync with your physical body and locking into place, right? So that way they're not out of phase with each other like this. A lot of times our bodies are like this, the astral body and the physical body. You want to bring them together like this, right? So you drop the astral body down and you click it into your physical body. And when that happens, you're not going to feel dizzy. You're not going to feel as tired. You're going to feel a lot more grounded. You're going to feel a lot more, just rooted in your body. You're going to be a lot more connected to other people, to your environment. So, or if it's too cold, like let's say you're up in Canada right now where it's already snowing everywhere, you can visualize golden roots that grow out of your hands, out of your arms, out of your feet, out of your toes, out of your chakras. And these golden roots, they go deep, deep into the earth. And you visualize these roots going deeper and deeper and deeper, wrapping around the core of the earth. And sometimes I even like to kind of visualize these roots almost like pulling me down into the earth a little bit. You know, it's like I'm really well anchored into the earth when you do that visualization, right? So you hold your hands out and you just visualize these roots growing from every inch of you deep down into the earth, wrapping around the core of the earth. That is to ground you, okay? And then after you're done with the grounding, then you visualize your form of protection. It can be any form of protection you wish. It can be something like a white light bubble, an impenetrable bubble of white or golden or violet flame, whatever makes you feel good. You can do a golden pyramid. Lots of people prefer golden pyramids where you have the big pyramid in front of you. You open the door, you step inside the pyramid, you close the door behind you. You are locked inside this pyramid, and this pyramid is impenetrable. Nothing can mess with you when you are inside that pyramid. So you just visualize the door opening before you. You can walk inside the pyramid, you close the door, and then you just visualize that pyramid in all corners around you, top, bottom, left, right, all around you. And then you just know that you are safe. You trust that you are safe inside that golden pyramid. And other times you can put on an invisibility cloak. You can go all Star Trekky and do an invisibility, what do you call it? Like a force field, like a force shield around yourself. Where anything that tries to come through your force shield gets zapped. You can, like a giant bug zapper, you know, you can visualize whatever you want that makes you feel good. I love to do the egg. The reason why I do the egg is if you guys saw my post about being harassed by a 6'5", very angry, aggressive TSA agent that had a reptilian on him, it tried to cost me my flight. The soul guides, they said that I was really badly under attack under that circumstance, and they put me in a golden egg. And I was like, "Ooh, a golden egg?" They're like, "Yeah, it's the best thing we could manifest for you." And I was like, "A golden egg?" I was like, "Around my etheric." And they said, "Yeah." And it stopped. The psychic attack stopped instantly when they did it, when they put this golden egg around me. So I have been visualizing that ever since. And it's just like, you know, you are like the goose that laid the golden egg. You are you are the golden goose on the inside. And you just visualize it around your etheric, protecting you closely. Or you can visualize it as a bubble of or something else. Like one of my other favorite things to do ever since I got this really cool rainbow obsidian. This is rainbow obsidian. Isn't that neat? So obsidian is normally like black like this. This is regular obsidian. But as you can see, there's a lot of defined colors in this. So I got this beautiful piece of rainbow obsidian, and I keep thinking like, well, you know, what if this is better? So I visualized a like a pool of molten lava, you know, like just pouring down over my golden egg that I use for protection, and it hardens into like this perfect round shell of you know, volcanic glass, so to speak. And it's impenetrable. And I love it. It fits around the golden egg perfectly, and then nothing can mess with me at all. And what's funny is when I asked my guides, when I did my visualization of this, and then I asked them, I was like, "Am I good? Like, can you see it? Did it work?" And they were like chef's kiss, Lara, like perfect job. They loved it. They were like, "Oh, that was very nice." So I was like, "All right, good, thank you." So I'm going to do that from now on, and I have been, and it works very well. And my ears are ringing very, very loudly all of a sudden. Somebody else is agreeing with me, I guess. But it really, the most important thing is that you guys are consistent with it, that you're doing it every single day. Okay. Every single day, you need to, whatever works for you, you need to use it. All right. And it's still ringing. God, that's loud. Wow. My right ear, too. Normally it's my left that's ringing. Okay. It's balancing itself. So, and you can also, like I said, you can use invisibility cloaks. You can get really clever and creative. And yes, one of the people's mentioned the turret that I like to use. Yes, you can put a turret in your house. You can put a giant bug zapper in your house. You can put whatever you want. Just make sure that you're doing your visualizations. And also remember that you guys can clear yourselves too. If you don't ask, you don't get. So you can call in your guides. You can call them in and say, "I am speaking to my principal soul guide at this time. I am asking them to clear anything from me that should not be there. I am asking them to clear any entities. I'm asking them to clear any earthbounds. I'm asking them to help me close any portals." And you can remember talking about counterclockwise to close. Set the intention to close portals. You can close your own portals every morning when you wake up, especially if you're one of those people that had a weird ass dream the night before. I almost guarantee that, you know, there's a portal left open. Michelle says, can we call in the Salations? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know how it works. They're still projecting to get here. They're not discarnates. So I'm not entirely sure how it works. Discarnate beings, they can hear you. The deities, they can hear you when you call them. I'm not entirely sure about galactics. Maybe they can. I never asked that question, actually. So yeah, it's 11 o'clock. I gotta switch over because we're gonna do the mentorship today. Thank you, Daniela. You're amazing at sending me the link. So today at 11, there's going to be the mentorship circle with moi, and then we'll switch over for that. On Wednesday, there's the free drop-in with Kim Beekman. On Thursday, there's going to be a Siddhartha chat. Very cool. Siddhartha was going to be joining us on Thursday. Wonderful for that. And on Friday, we have Dr. Scott with friends. So that'll be fun. Lots of wonderful things going on. So I'm going to switch over to Astara, and we can talk a bit more privately about whatever you guys would like. And if there's anything else that you guys need, feel free to hit me up. I love you all. I will see you guys tomorrow. And it'll be Tracy Trimble tomorrow, and Lauren Roche will be joining me on Wednesday. So very exciting. Love you guys. I will see you over on Astara, or I will see you tomorrow.